how can a company leave a legacy in the industry place on the people that they pass through that company, and to inspire others, to inspire, from the consumers, the employees, the community it touches, and the rest of the industry. So this has been exactly the same type of topic. And when you start approaching these questions for a company, similar to the personal quest, where you try to connect that question to what the real purpose of yourself, what matters to you, the real meaning. Same approach has been for me for a company, and lately for Chloé. What is the real, once you try to define a legacy of a company, what is the real purpose of the company? How do you connect that purpose to a sense of collectiveness, essentially, because it's not anymore about an individual, it's a collective, and to the very origins or the very founder purpose of why the company existed to begin with. And that's what basically where my journey in Chloé started, because it's a fashion company, it's a luxury company, but was created in 52 with an ambition, so 70 years old, with an ambition from the founder, not to create beautiful clothes, but actually, using her words, to play a positive role in society by uplifting and empowering women. Her words, and I went back to it. So the job we went through was said, okay, what does that purpose means, or that ambition means in today's times, and how do I contextualize it in where we stand today? And how do I do it in a way which is right and true to the DNA, authentic to the DNA of the company, but also true to the context in which we live? And I'm now going to open, all the challenges we have in the context in which we live and the role of business in society. So this leads us to say, okay, we are here, yes, to create value, but the legacy we want to leave is a strong, powerful, positive impact on society and into the world. And we started to nail what is it for us and what matters for us, and is true to us. Women, planet, and all these elements led us to a direction. That ambition needed to be translated into a transformational roadmap, into actions, into concreteness, into cultural change, and as well as operational changes. And that's where B Corp came on board, because B Corp gave us, not just from a philosophical point of view, it nailed the very concept of say, how can a business truly contribute to the positive progress of the context, society, and world it belongs to? Is the world better off because I do business in it? Essentially, that was the key point. It gave us the structure, and it gave us that framework, and it gave us also the set of accountability to make sure that from this vision we had also an accountable path to deliver this. And in this ambition, so we became B Corp, which was a major achievement for a company of our size, because we are pretty big and global and part of a bigger group. So I was totally naive when I said when I become B Corp, because I didn't know what I was getting into. But it gave us really the path, and then it led us to really think. And then we always had this vision of say, okay, what does it mean being B Corp in luxury? What does it mean ultimately? And that's where the concept of we want to be the Patagonia of luxury came in. Simply because, but I always regarded Patagonia as a symbol of integrity, brand integrity, from purpose translated into company behavior, into the product, into the services, into a consistent experience of what the company is from product and behavior in society. I didn't even know about the purpose of the company, but I respected the brand from outside, and because they really stood for a cause and they really stood for a purpose, which is the planet. So to me, saying I want Chloé to be the Patagonia of luxury is an ambition to play the same role that Patagonia, to reach that level of integrity, but also play the same role that Patagonia played in inspiring many others in the industry, leaving a legacy beyond just the Patagonia itself. And what planet stands to Patagonia, the way women stands to Chloé, it's exactly the same concept. So I said, what does that mean? How could I build this integrity? And how can I build the same transformational role and legacy that Patagonia has been living in the industry belongs to?
Fantastic. Great analogy. And what I also got told is that once you put it out there that you're going to become a B Corp, and Actually, you did get quite a positive response from a lot of people in your sector, right? Because
yeah,
they reached out to you.
it phases, no, and you know, being very open. I remember when we launched that concept, was not a common concept for luxury. Even from my group, you know, I remember very openly was what is B Corp? What are you trying to do here? And is it right for luxury? Yes or no? No. And it was really a kind of, it was 2 years ago, so it was kind of not as spread out and as known as it is today, by the way. But we are giving entirely the trust on the ambition we had, and especially the confidence that in order to achieve that ambition, we needed to have an accountable path, no? And someone else that would hold us accountable to that path, no? Because it's very easy, no matter how much good faith you have, to make big mistakes on the way. You know, you can have very genuine ambitions, but you can make mistakes in translating that in a true transformation and concrete results. No? But when we became, you know, the reaction from the industry was much larger than what I thought. So two learning from it. First of all, the impact it had internally on my organization was significantly bigger than what I thought. The cultural impact, not just the fact that we kind of tick the box, but I think we started to embrace a way of thinking and the culture that goes significantly beyond just the ticking the boxes. And it's really a philosophy, what then you use the magic word of regenerative business, but it's such a powerful word. How can business brings life, essentially, and contributes more to what it gets? And on the industry, all of a sudden, because fashion and luxury are extremely competitive, so that everybody looks at each other, you know, to try to be better. A lot of people came back and complimented and asked questions on how they could embrace the same journey. For two reasons. One, because I think what I was saying before to Marcello at the beginning of the call, for the ones who were there, I think we reached a real tipping point on the outside on such conversations. I mean, it's a moment of change, and we all the responsibility to drive that change, because it's happening now, and people are wants it. And the first that wants it, by the way, are consumers more than industry as well. No? And you also see how basically in the world of today, such changes, you know, we use the word, we want to lead to inspire, you know, is really can generate this positive momentum of other people, you know, following and being embraced, starting from the fact that I was saying, you know, trying to use business as a force of good is not a competitive matter. It's a collaborative matter. The more we do, it's not, I'm trying to win and to do, you know, a positive contribution to win versus others. I'm trying to do a positive contribution because it's right for the long-term success of my company. And this, I think, has generated an incredible reaction from many others. And I know that actively that many luxury industry are trying hard, and some will get soon to be caught. So this is, to me, was one of the biggest, to me and to my team, one of the biggest rewards. Lead to inspire.
Fantastic. And 2 years down the road, just for those who are starting, what was the biggest challenge to move forward?
Two things, I think. One is translating an ambition into actions. You know, transforming the way we do business. It's unbelievable how much we are embedded in a shareholder type of culture, in a financial value type of culture, in a way of doing things that we know now is not necessarily the right way because of the externality it generates. And changing these and knowing how to change was complicated. And the complication is really the complication that you have in any business. Capabilities, knowledge, know-how, what do I need to do? What do I need to change first? What are my priorities? What are my measures? What are my KPI? How do I set myself for success? And how do I bring my stakeholders and shareholders, you know, into the game? Because the company is not mine. So I will, you know, my role is to leave the company in better shape, take it and leave it in better shape for when I will leave. And I think, you know, pass the baton, as I say, but pass a better baton in a way. So this was the most important things, you know, from ambition to action plan, measure, responsibility, role, and capabilities. And second, culture. I think culture is a combination of two aspects. There is, you know, you can have people that are more resonating with the ambition, and because of personal values or because of personal journey, and people that don't. You know, and I think you know, when you launch an ambition like this, you have a part of the company that laugh at you, and part of the company that really believe in you. And you have the agent of change, and I believe in the concept. You change the 10% of the company to change the 100%, and that's really true. But culture was the biggest challenge, and it took a lot of development investment training to bring awareness on the why. So why are we doing? Was not my personal quest. The why, I think, is the facts and the rationale of the why. It's a big wake-up call. It was for me, you know, when you realize, I always make the example, stupid example, but it works. You know, when you have a certain diet or eating, you eating certainly, and then you discover that eating that type of food is not good for you, you change. When you discover that as a business, the way you are doing things is not good, either for the planet or for the community, you change. That discovery, that the fact that the way we were doing things was not good, was actually taking away more than giving, you know, and destroying the very space in which we actually create a value in the business, was the biggest, most powerful way to start influencing the culture. And the process is still honestly in place. We are far away from living fully the B Corp spirit. That's the way I call it, in everyday life. Far away. You know, you go back to known habits always.
Oh, fantastic. It's an inspiring story. I would love to see, before we break up, are there people in the community that would love to ask a question? It rings so true to me. So, okay, Marcello, yes.
So I have one question. I have one question, Riccardo. So thank you, Riccardo. It's wonderful. The question is about customers. One of the things that I learned many years ago from Anita Roddick, the founder of The Body Shop, she had a sort of ultra sensitivity to customers. Like she herself lived and was breeding the customers. And many of the products that she developed in the campaigns, like the no animal testing, no packaging around these products, were really tested and in a way co-evolved together with their customers. And so my question is, I think the biggest power you have in Chloé is actually to turn all your customers into kind of what I call corporate activists, or activists for the kind of companies that we would like to see. So the question is, also you talk about culture, to what extent are you bringing your customers inside the company to be able to create this culture of change that I think we all want to see?
Yeah, good point on customer, because as I said, that ultimately the real, I always use the words, you know, my customers will be my legislator. You know, often when we talk about environment and things, we always say, you know, we need the legal new laws. Reality, the customer will set and will accelerate changes for many. What we see, let me say, start with one point, is that customer has changed in the relationship with products and brands. While in our industry was always driven by aesthetic, now it's more and more driven by value. You know, the way they choose brands and the way they belong to a brand and they stay with the brand. And value will be the real competitive, I think, challenge or arena for the future for many companies. Value and trust. You know? Now, the challenge, how you consistently demonstrate your value through your behavior to those customers, and how you engage them. Now, the way we are engaging them is twofold. So now, first of all, I think there is a big role that we play as educator. Not in an arrogant way, but I think our behaviors and the way we use our platform of communication to make them aware of why a more responsible purchase is better for the world, why it's better for the community, and so on, is number one. Number two, we are starting to test involvement of customer in task or volunteering activity. So the possibility for customers to essentially be part of our positive action towards the community. This will come gradually. And last but not least, we are actively testing a concept which is called the 1% for the woman. You know where it comes from, 1% for the planet, where basically we'll tell customers that part of their purchase will go into an industry and all multi-industry, ideally, fund, where they can, that will be dedicated to women activities, where they can also belong to and participate into. The idea is to create a sort of positive movement, but it has to come step by step. My biggest concern before I activate this now is to first be coherent and consistent myself through my values and in all my behavior, because it comes back as a boomerang, in a big way if you don't. And then once I have this one, then I will bring a larger stakeholder into the brand. And beyond customer, can I add also is suppliers, is the upstreams that they can even play a much bigger role into being part of the game. It's really the whole play. I hope this answered my question, Marcello.
I'm not going to say this right. Noelia. Sorry about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Noelia. Hi,
Hi, Noelia.
Eric. I'm Noelia. I'm from Goodness & Co. We are actually helping companies like yours become B Corp, among other things. Really nice to hear about your experience, and you're really like setting the scene in the luxury sector. So congratulations on you for that.
Thank you.
I was just wondering if you could share a bit more information about what was your experience with the, I would say, the governance of the group. Did you get support? Did you have to convince actually the board members, etc.? How was it for you in that journey? Thank you.
I get support because I would have never achieved it without their support. Also because we have many connection points in terms of function with the group when it comes to regional store management and so on. But I had to convince them. And I found myself in this convincing attitude every time, by the way. Even when you are already B Corp, you are constantly fighting for the cynical, against the cynical. I call it the cynical. It's like, but I changed my pitch. So the convincing to me, it's really, and I say very openly, first and foremost, this is a strategic need. It's not about the moral imperative. It's not about value. It's not about trying to believe in a more, good world. No, it's about future-proofing the company to win in the long term. No? That pitch in any shareholder type of table always is very effective because the role of a CEO is to actually build long-term value. The question is that you build long-term value through values and not against values. That's the whole point. And I think the real pitch is to say, in order to win in the long term, in a world where, we will have more and more limitations, where the cost of operating business will change because of environment, and where customers will make choices more and more based on values, require a change. So that's the first pitch. The second pitch is, how do you execute this change in a very consistent way and in a very accountable way, not to avoid mistakes? And that's where, B Corp came into the game, because B Corp for me was the most solid and managerial system, first and foremost, and dynamic also system, because it's not that you achieved how it's done and you have it to be able to deliver that strategy into basically a concrete results and an accountable results. So it's as simple as that. But it started really, is it the right strategic move to win in the long term? And I think it applies to luxury as well as in many. Then the pitch for others is the role I can play in influencing the industry for positive, business for good. The very concept of business for good make people laugh in certain boardrooms. It's a fact. But when the results comes, then when analysts, as it happened to Chloé, start financial analysts to question, because that's nice, then you see the attitude change. I think that's our role. You know, the first mover always face a bit more challenges, I would say.
No, but fantastic. Anyone else before we break up?
I have one question.
Okay, there's two questions, but okay, Aurelia, go for it, and then Lineke.
So the luxury business has a very well-defined group of lovers, base of lovers. Do you think if luxury business is to become regenerative and sustainable, does it mean that the lovers base will have to fully change, or is there a part of consumer education and that can, let's say, help us keep the same people that we talk to, but address them in a different way?
I'm not so sure. I don't think we need to, let me say, and I hope I interpret the question in the right way. You know? The levels of the luxury business are honestly always being rooted in values that by definition have been sustainable in a way. No? And I think probably the massification and industrialization of the luxury business has created more problems, overproduction, and impact. No? But when I say so, it's really, to me, it's a process of not changing the levels. It's reasserting the very core value of luxury, craftsmanship, quality, you know, and I think the definition of quality is evolving, you know? You know, the lastingness, all this kind of aspect has always been part of it. So I think we need to recover that one, you know, in many ways, and redefining for what that means for today. That's number one. Number two, I think consumer will demand it more and more, because when you spend a lot of money on something, they will demand more and more the proof, you know, how this product is connected to those values. The real things, that the real frame that needs to change for luxury and fashion is the very concept of overproduction and growth. I think this is a much bigger topic, you know? And that's probably the lever, and it's a challenge that is not just for luxury or fashion, but for any business. You know, we are all kind of coded to drive growth as CEOs, as businesses. You know, we need to drive growth. No? The reality is that the uncomfortable truth of the luxury business and the fashion business is that it was all based on a concept of driving consumption, driving desires, producing a lot, overproducing a lot, without taking into account the externality that this was creating, essentially. And I think today we don't still have a model, no, that can allow us to continue to grow without with a positive impact or without a negative impact, call it like this. So that's a framework that needs to change in a big way. You know? In luxury, the 95% of our impact, so it's social and call it environmental, it's in scope 3, so it's really in the upstream, it's in the production. That's really the difficulties part. I hope, I know I touch many subjects, and I hope this allows you, you know, kind of answer the question.
Thank you.
So the last question, Lineke, would you like to close the questions before we break up? Yeah.
Yes, hello. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm Lineke. I've just led the B Corp certification process for Nespresso. So a lot of what you're saying for being a multinational resonates quite a lot. And I was wondering, with your shareholders and perhaps internally, do you feel like because you mentioned that it was quite a big undertaking, do you feel that you have to justify the resource investment of the certification versus the return on investment to shareholders? And I wonder if you have some insights into how you manage that.
No, I did not. It's always a complex question, you know, because I always have difficulties when I receive the question, what is the cost of this endeavor, and or what is the cost of the investment of sustainability? Because you can't really name it, because it's embedded in every single decision. You can't. It's not like I'm building a new digital platform and that's the cost of the new digital platform. you know, I have an hard time to answer that question and therefore define an ROI, no, or return on investment associated to this. No? I can surely easily put down the cost of extra resources I need, and the cost of running the certification. But honestly, it's more of it's minimal. It's nothing. We're talking nothing. You know, the beauty of the certification is not. It's a pervasive effort that touch every department. So existing resources rather than extra beyond the project manager, and that's it. So it's never been a point of just justifying the investment. It's more a point about justifying the strategic soundness of the choice. And was this the right certification? So I was challenged. Are you sure you want to do is B Corp right for luxury, for instance? Are you sure you want to do that? Are you going to market it or not? Is it part of your brand or not? No, there were more the questions. No, but I see less and less people. I think, and then the last question is this the right priority? You know, according to all the efforts and the resources we have to put, because it's a big effort, and all the things you have to do. Do you want to focus there first versus other? That's the point. No? And for me, the question was sustainability at the core of social and environmental, at the core of my strategy. I need a system and I need accountability to deliver it. I need legitimacy to deliver it. And therefore, that's the B Corp was kind of a consequence of the first real decision, which is sustainability at the core of my sustainability and purpose at the core of my business model.
Fantastic.
Great, thank you so much.
So I'm conflicted, meaning I would love to go. I would love to break up, but I have actually two issues that I would like us to work on, and I know we only have time for one. So the one is, you know, if we now go back to our own businesses, how can we lead to inspire? Because, you know, we lead sometimes to keep harmony, to comply, to keep going, to sustain, but to inspire, yeah, that's even and inspire beyond your own company. So that's one question. I would love us to break up and say, how can we do that better? You know, do that beyond just our own organization, but to all the stakeholders and people who are part of it. But the second one, so I'll let the group choose which one they want to work on, but is I'm very intrigued seeing also the number of women that are in the group today. This uplift and empower women to drive the regenerative movement. How can we inspire each other to do that? So I'm going to ask Aurelia to split us and go and think about, you can choose as a group, so don't make too much debate on that. Either say, look, how can we bring something for Riccardo, and you know, that the original mission of uplifting and empowering women to be those inspiring leaders in the context of his business or your own, or just how we as leaders can inspire beyond our own organization. And then we can share off that. Are these two questions simple enough? I know they're not concrete, they're inspirational, but we have the opportunity to do this in a context of the safety of the group. Good. So we've got 15 minutes to just share. Don't have to be right. You just have to share. Aurelia, will you split us up? And then we'll come back and share a little. So first, thank you, Riccardo. It was great for your inspirational words. Great, great. So we've got 4 minutes. Riccardo, I've asked, at least in the group I was in, just the idea is that in 1-2 sentences, we share a little bit our key takeout and our key advice for you to move forward. And I've actually picked on someone in our group just before we leave it. So we'll take the lead. Lydik, would you try and just wrap up for us and share with Riccardo what we came up to what could he use more to inspire and lead moving forward? Yeah.
Gosh, yes. So I think we had quite a useful discussion about business leadership and really trying to balance, kind of being visionary and pushing the boundaries, but also taking care of, perhaps the skeptics and the people who are not so willing to change, and being in mind that change, well, we need big change, but too much too soon could also rock the boat. So it's always thinking about how we could strike that balance. I don't know if I summed that up neatly enough in a few sentences. Christophe and Noelia, Aurelia, please supplement.
Maybe Christophe was saying that actually what you need most of the time is to have good friends and supportive ones. So the community, the B Corp community, I think is a very good supporting community. And we need to help each other also to, speak more about it. And what you do right now is just, I think, what needs to be done on a bigger scale and to more people and to engage everyone.
So more friendship and more balance in the change process. Anyone from another group that you also pick on someone just to quickly take out a key takeout to close? Also, I put.
Let me try to go ahead and speak for the group. So actually, what we came up with is that a key is having fun, and that's the reason why maybe the founder of Patagonia said, like, my people go surfing, because that's a way to have fun and to engage people in order to share vision, share purpose, and work together. And I think that can be easy if you work in a small companies. I may say that one is a big company that needs a lot of effort, maybe, to commit everyone on pursuing the same goal. I say it also because I used to work for the Richmond Group and and once we developed the circularity strategy, it's very tough to engage everyone, changing their vision and the way they used to do business. And that's why also we are at the D Factory B Corp, and we created a community for fashion companies called B Corp B Fashion, with the purpose to have fun, share best practice, and also engage other companies to follow us on this vision for a general business.
Fantastic.
So, Riccardo, happy if you can join us, and that's an invite for everyone.
Last group. Anyone volunteering? Burning desire before we close?
If I may go.
Please.
Yeah, so my two of the group mates have left. So yeah. So we discussed about how to instill the changes. First of all, changes starts from the kids, as briefly. So if we are going to change something, then we are going to have to do it from the schools. If we are going to build a whole different community with a whole different mindset. So it's the kids, it's the children who can bring out these changes. Second, we discussed about the things, the opportunities in disparities in terms of the opportunities that men and women get. So we discussed a number, it would be around more than 150 years till women get equal opportunities as men. But I would say it would take 10 to 15 years, because I would definitely love to see this in my lifetime.
Right.
So these are two main things that we discussed.
Well, thank you. So I would say thank you for everyone for your wonderful time. It was again a short, powerful session. The next session will be all around Josine. Josine, can you just give a little bit of a tip of what the next talk will be about?
It will be again on the first Friday next month, June, and it will be on wildlife preservation, ecosystem management, regenerative.
Fantastic. So from luxury to conservation, and I'm sure these two worlds meet in perfect way. So let me close by saying, Riccardo, thank you for your time.
Thanks for listening, guys.
We need your inspiration. We need your practical and what you call accountable pathway vision also. And I'm sure you and I will build further on our friendship. You know, we will count on each other as B leaders. And thank you for the great lunch session together. Thank you.
Thanks to all. Thanks for your time, guys. I wish you a good day and a good weekend.
Thanks to everybody. Thanks, Riccardo.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.